Welcome back to the Sports Source, the segment of our program brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Buying a boat is a big investment. Everybody knows that. So what does it say that Madisonville Marine has been taking care of repeat buyers now for more than 4 decades? Well, I'll tell you, it's easy. It tells you their prices are the best, tells you their selection of boats is the best, and it tells you the way they treat you is the best. Madisonville Marine, there's no better place to buy a boat. Highway 411 North in Madisonville. All right, I'm going to throw out the likely losses in this segment and even the toss-up games, the ones that could be sketchy. Okay. I'm going to pin in what I think most fans look at and say, well, you better win these. All right, and then I'm going to ask you, which is the most likely shock loss of these? Georgia State, UAB, Chattanooga, at Kentucky, Vanderbilt. What's the most likely shock loss that Tennessee would be upset out of those 5 games? Because if you lose to Mississippi State, Missouri, Carolina, BYU, I don't think there's any room for somebody to go, oh, he gads. If you lose to one of these, I think people will be yelling he gads and worse. Let's start down there. Chuck, who's your upset?
It's a colossal upset, John. It would be the game you've already said there's no way Tennessee could lose. UAB.
That's your most likely.
That's my shock loss.
Okay, your most likely shock loss. Yes, but you're
because
saying,
it seems like every year Conference USA or one of these like them pulls off some upset. It might be LSU. It might be Tennessee. Between some SEC games. And we've seen how poorly Tennessee plays at home against some non-conference foes.
So in your opinion, it's more likely Tennessee loses to UAB than it does at Kentucky or to Vanderbilt. We're looking at most likely shock losses.
Yes. Shocker.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to have to disagree.
All right, let's move.
I'm going to go with Kentucky because they're the most likely team you're going to lose to out of that shock loss category. So I do think it's Kentucky. Yes, they're losing a lot, and I actually would even think Tennessee would win this game. However, this is the game that would be still shocking, I think, for fans.
And the most likely. I think just being on the road helps to make it the most likely. Right. But where are you going with this?
Yeah, I think 2 things. One, you got to be careful with UAB. Vandy, I don't even know if you can call that a shock loss if they lose that game. I mean, you've done it 3 years in a row.
And 5 of 7.
So my answer is Kentucky. For one, you're going on the road, which is always difficult.
Good penmanship.
Thank you. That's A+. That is not my normal handwriting. That is slow writing. Anyway, but in terms of pure shock, this is a team that you beat up on last year, a team that loses Benny Snell. Yeah. But it's still a capable team. You're talking about the SEC, and so I think you go to Kentucky and you lose. That's a true shock for fans, but I think it's on the table. So I'm going Kentucky.
Kentucky's the one team that Tennessee has maintained dominance over.
Well, I'm going to go with them as a shock loss, too. Their quarterback play is not good. Yeah. They lost a top, 7 defensive linemen last year. Yeah. Is that where
Josh Allen?
Josh Allen, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they lost basically the guy who was their whole team.
Yeah.
No knock on Allen. That team last year doesn't sniff 10 wins if Snell isn't on the team.
And that's the reason that would make that loss more of a shock to me because of what they lost and plus the fact that their quarterback play last year.
Well, let me ask you this.
But are you saying most shocking? Or are you saying most likely shocking?
Yeah.
It's most likely shocking. What's the most likely shock loss?
Mm-hmm. Right. Kentucky.
Why, though?
Because of what they lost last year.
No, not why it's a shock. Why is it most likely that would be the shock loss?
Oh, because it's on the road.
Okay, there you go.
Well, let me ask you this. Can I ask one quick question?
Really no, too late. You are married to UAB. You're changing that.
I'm on this Cavaleras Island all by myself. What if you're a slight underdog at Kentucky and lose, and a huge favorite at home against UAB?
No, we're not talking about the odds here. Gambling.
Well, that's a shock. That's a shock.
All right. It would be a shock. I just don't think it's the most likely of the shock losses. What's the most likely shock win? Do we all say Florida? Georgia's here. Does anyone say Alabama? That's the most likely upset win. I'm laughing. Yeah, Chuck, we're keeping in the state, the Yellowhammer state. Come on back on the Sports Source.